But peace to the elders, the ancestral giants. Peace to gods and goddesses, past, present, and future. Peace to kings, queens, and royal families all over. And peace to you, brothers and sisters. You tune into Oak 93.5 FM, Africans United, Know Thyself. Black Power Radio, where ancient wisdom meets modern truth. We have with us the Honorable Brother Ausar, man.
Anakasar, a BB for Hodier, African liberation, black liberation, African power, black power, for every black man, woman, and child on the planet. We are the original people. I am the original man. I am a son of Africa. Peace to the listening audience. Looking forward to this deep conversation today about the motherland.
Yes, and we have with us the Queen, Dr. Kimberly Muktarian.
Well, good morning, listening audience, and those out in our podcast world. We just want to say that you are in for a treat with our guest today, and he will bring us current from the motherland. We are excited because we know that jewels and knowledge release freedom and liberation.
Yes, and our special guest today, Brother Amaechi, the engineer.
Thank you for having me. Of course, my name is Amaechi, Engineer Amaechi, and I'm here today because I feel like we need to learn more about what is going on in Africa, the motherland, and I'm happy to be in the audience today. Thank you.
Okay, and let's start on Christmas Day of 2025. President Trump announced that the United States has struck Islamic State militants in northwest Nigeria. The president had accused the group of persecuting and killing Nigerian Christians in the country. U.S. Africa Command, or AFRICOM, and Nigerian officials confirmed the strikes in Sokoto, a Nigerian Muslim majority state with about 4 million people that borders Niger. Nigerian information Chief of Information Minister Muhammad Idris said that 16 precision strikes were conducted in coordination with the United States using guided missiles launched from Reaper drones. The minister noted that the attack was carried out with the full involvement of the armed forces of Nigeria and with explicit approval from Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Pardon me. So let's look at America dropping these bombs on black land again. Brother Matt, what made the U.S. feel it had a right or obligation to jump directly into Nigerian politics and security like this?
Thank you for that question. To answer this question correctly,
93.5.
To answer this question correctly, one needs to look at the short history of Nigeria and understand some of the historical issues that led to this point. Nigeria is a former colony of Britain, and Britain basically formed Nigeria as a business enterprise, and it brought a lot of cultures, a lot of tribes, and a lot of people with different religious beliefs together as a country. Nigeria has never lived up to that name, a country. Nigeria is probably a nation, but not united in the sense of a nation. The languages are thousands, the cultures are different, the religions are different. If you divide Nigeria in half, the north will be Muslims, the south will be mainly Christians. And this has been a source of many, many issues over time. But let's fast forward to where we are today. A particular tribe in Nigeria called the Fulanis are Arabs. They are basically not African. They are not natural to Nigeria, meaning that they don't have any piece of land in Nigeria. They are not one of the tribes. They came from somewhere else.
Okay.
Basically, they came from the highlands of Senegambia. I don't know if you understand what I mean. The Senegal and Gambia and they are basically spread out from all the way from Zambia down into Nigeria, mainly all of West Africa. They are not a tribe that sits in one place or have a particular location. They are what they call pastoralists, meaning that they follow their cattle along. Wherever they get food and drink for their cattle, that's where they settle. And whenever there is no more food and water for their cattle, they move along. Now, they have decided, because they are Muslims, that they are going to conquer the whole of Africa to make Africa an Islamic country. They want to start with Nigeria so that they can take over the Nigerian resources. Nigeria is a very, very wealthy country.
Right.
Now, their whole plan is to dip the Quran in the Atlantic Ocean. This is their stated goal. They are from the north. And basically the north is arid, meaning that it's deserts there. The south is where most of the oil, Atlantic Ocean is located. So they have sworn that they are going to conquer everything in between, from the desert all the way into the Atlantic Ocean.
Wow.
And basically what they're doing is killing those people from the south who are mainly Christians, trying to take over their lands, renaming the land as they conquer it. And the people that come from that land are ending up in the IDPs. I don't know whether you know what I mean by the IDPs. This is like a place, just like in the old days when the white people came here, they killed a lot of the Indians and put them in concentration camp, basically.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Okay.
So these people lose their land and they end up in IDP camps where they are basically marauding. No food, no government government doesn't care for people who are working. How much more people who are not doing anything? They cannot farm, they cannot feed themselves. They are just there with their children. And so these marauding Fulanis are chasing them out of their land and taking over the land.
Brother Matt, let me ask you a question, right? The Fulanis, right?
Yes.
You say that they're Muslim.
Yes.
And that they basically are nomads as far as traveling.
Right.
Right.
Where is their central base, and what is their sect when you talk about Islam, the Islamic faith? Are they Sunni, Shiite?
They are both. There's a group of them are Shiites. A group of them are Sunnis. That is what is causing part of the problem. When you hear people say and it's not only Christians that are being killed, when people are saying it's Christian genocide, well, they are killing Christians, but they're also killing each other because of their different sects.
Right.
Oh, wow.
I think that basically because
That's a good explanation.
I've been paying attention to what's going on, and I understand clearly what you're saying as far as the Fulanis and they're Muslims, right? But
Yes.
it's well known that Nigeria is basically split half and half when it comes
Correct.
to those following the Islamic faith
Yes.
and those who are following the Christian faith. So is it fair to the Islamic faith to have some of the activities of what's considered to be extremists and terrorists? And I often wonder who it is that pins these terms on the different groups, because they might not see themselves as being terrorists, because it's been well known that Nigeria has had its problems and a lot of tension, right? But they have relatively been able to live in peace as far as freedom of religion, which is a part of the Nigerian constitution, right? And it's been stated that President Tinubu of Nigeria is a Muslim, right?
Right.
He practiced the Islamic faith, and
the vice president.
and the vice president, right?
He's also a Muslim.
So I think that we have to basically, when we're looking at this from an African perspective, right? And that's the way I want to look at it, right? Because I think it's been too much emphasis placed on religion, Christian and Muslim, and not African, right? In Nigeria, and we spoke about Pan-Africanism in the past, and a lot of Christians say they're Pan-Africanists, and a lot of Muslims say that they're Pan-Africanists, but yet they're putting religion before they're putting Africa or being African. So do you think that this phenomenon, as far as what's considered to be the terrorist group like Boko Haram, where do you feel like these groups are really getting their power from? Or is it something bigger at play than what the I can see?
Well, I think it is the latter more than the prior. Now, the reason I say that is if you think about the terrorists, the people that are causing all this mayhem, there are about 7 of them, 7 groups. They are all Islamic. That's number one. All of them are Islamic. None is Christian. Okay. Now you have Boko Haram, you have ISWAP, you have ISIS, you have Loco. They have all different names, but they're all coming from the same place, the same northern Nigeria, and they are all Muslims. And now, when they are killing people, they are burning churches, they are killing individuals, and they are targeting Christians. But every once in a while, they target Muslims only because they are of a different faith than of theirs. So when people talk about Muslims, they're not talking about it because they hate Muslims. Most of my friends are Muslims. But there are some of these Muslims that believe that everybody must convert or be killed. If you don't convert, you'll be killed.
Wow.
And that's not a Christian way of thinking. You know, if you don't convert to my religion, I'll kill you.
I'm not sure about that, Brother Matt, because I remember the Papal Bull and Pope Nicholas V saying, giving Portugal the right to invade Africa and to capture anyone that wasn't a Christian.
Correct.
And to persecute. So that's why it's very interesting to me, the whole Christian narrative, right? Because I think that Christianity is being used as a tool as well as Islam is being used as a tool. That's why one of the things basically that we promote is an African-centered orientation. And just like this show, Africans United, know thyself. Because when we know ourselves, we're going to know that regardless of religion, that we're still brothers. Whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Muslim, if you're African, we are brothers and sisters. And we have got to unite. As Kwame Nkrumah said in 1963, Africa has to unite. Africans have to unite, because if we don't unite, the same issues that we've been having for over a centuries are going to continue to happen until we can put these differences to the side and deal with our issues and problems as Africans and keep others out of our business, like the United States. Right, because the United States don't even care about the black Christians here in the United States. As we can tell by the way that we've been persecuted or enslaved as a people, and they still practice institutional and systemic racism. So it's a farce when you had the President of the United States saying what that first they addressed Nigeria directly with a threat, that if the persecution and murder of Christians continues, that they were going to invade and bomb Nigeria. They didn't say the terrorist groups. It was Nigeria.
Yeah, that's good.
That the United States threatened, which is a sovereign country, right? Basically, in sovereignty, you govern yourselves. So with that threat, which was over a month ago, and they say that the killings continue, and the Nigerian government say that there is no genocide of Christians. So this was an excuse for the United States to flex their muscle and for Trump to flex his muscle. And I think as Africans all over the world and blacks all over the world, this is very dangerous, right? Because the attack wasn't just on Nigeria. The attack was on Africa and all Africans globally.
Okay. So I agree with you partly, but I will beg to differ a whole lot. And when I come here, most of the time I always don't have I don't have a demarcation for Christian or for Muslims.
Right.
And I told you one time on this particular show that one of the problems we have in Africa has to do with religion.
Right.
We just worship another man's religion.
Right.
And we kill each other because of another man's religion. I mentioned last time that we have all these religious groups. Each of them has somebody that look like the people that worship them. If you go to India, you see the people they worship, they look Indian. If you go to China, the people they worship look Chinese. if you go to the Islamic world, if you go to Saudi Arabia, who they worship is reflective of who they are.
Right.
We are the only continent in the world that has every religion that we worship, and none of them looks like our people. And I have said that before, but in this case, believe me, my brother, if you go to Nigeria today, I wanted to go to Nigeria Christmas, but I couldn't go because I was afraid of being kidnapped
Right.
or being slaughtered for no reason because of this stupid religious fight going on. And I'm an African, I'm a Pan-Africanist, but what is going on in Nigeria is different from everything we knew before.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that's why, if you let me finish this point,
Please.
and that's why everybody in Nigeria today is welcoming America. This is one time America has gone into a country and bombed them, and the population welcomed them overwhelmingly. Because the government is basically, incapable of handling the situation because of bribery and corruption, because of all kinds of tribalism and all kinds of things.
So
Just killers are running rampage, killing people, driving children from school, destroying schools, destroying churches, hanging out in bushes, and kidnapping people that are traveling along the road. So the whole security situation there is crazy.
Well, can I say this? Just from a war standpoint, overall, we know the same mental, I want to say, mental captivity or delusion that Muslims have when they assume that if you're not of their same religious sect, that you don't have a purpose on this planet.
You're an infidel.
You're an
You have to
infidel.
die.
Absolutely. Well, the Christians did the same thing
Yes.
during the Crusades.
During the Crusades, I agree.
And if we go on to look at even Americans, Christians, even though we may not kill each other, we do not associate even within the Christian religion, because we have our own set of denominations from Missionary Baptist, AME Zion, Church of God in Christ. And then our black congregations don't associate with white denominations because we have two First Baptist churches downtown Raleigh. We have a white First Baptist church and we have a black First Baptist church. So these divisions are, while they are tolerated, we know, quote unquote, we haven't indirectly killed one another. But I can tell you that there are denominations that are quiet when America kills black people right in the streets. Black Christians right here. There are black white nationalists in America who will stand behind a Charlie Kirk and be okay with him saying that others need to be murdered, or not say anything, which is given another form of consent. So I think what's devastating is to see how quick Donald Trump invades, quote unquote, Nigeria to under the auspices or the narrative that he's taking care of the Christians in Nigeria. And I think that's what the offense is, because the narrative is wrong. Even though what you're saying is correct, it gives a fuller perspective as to what is needed. Yes, and I do agree. They will need protection from each other, because why? You have a mental disease there that supersedes their understanding that Africa is first before their religion. And that is the truth of the matter.
Well, they are not even this. See, we are dealing with people who have this supreme kind of ideology.
Absolutely.
They are not.
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about the Fulani tribe.
Okay, I'm talking about the United States.
Oh no!
You talking about
okay.
a supremacy mentality?
Well, we're
that
talking
too.
about both of them.
That too, we're talking about both of them.
Right.
The difference in this case with Donald Trump, Donald Trump has not invaded Nigeria. There is no invasion.
Okay.
At least not now. What they did was they bombed some Islamic camps from where they stage all these operations of massacring people.
Sure.
So they bombed 2 locations, well, 3 or 4 locations. Now, they did that with complete agreement with Nigerian government. And remember, just like he said, the president is a Muslim and the vice president is a Muslim.
Okay.
Yet they agreed for Donald Trump to do what he did. And they did it in conjunction with Donald Trump's administration.
Sure.
So that would tell you that the government is incapable of helping themselves.
Right.
This thing has run out of hand, that the government cannot do anything about it. So
And it
it's
sounds-
good that somebody from the outside
Invaded.
comes to help.
And let me ask this, and just from my understanding as well, as we look at this Fulani Muslim group, and I understand when we talk about the African diaspora or the African-centered way of living or thinking, in comparison, do they even see themselves as Africans? Their whole thing is their identity is solely Muslim.
Islamic. Yes.
Islamic. It's not African.
It's not African.
It's not to preserve the African way or the
Exactly.
continent. They probably, if they could, would move on after they conquered Africa and go somewhere else and conquer, because and that is exactly what we saw in history with all of these religions. They never stayed in one area. That's how we got colonialism.
Correct.
And that's how we got countries that believe they could intercept based off of God. Brother Ausar said the Pope. We've talked about
Pope Nicholas V.
Right, the Catholic Church
Right.
endorsed most of the invasions on these
They
countries.
actually authorized slavery.
So they could care. So for them, it's not about loyalties to a land mass or even an identity of a people as much as it is a religion. And we're talking about two different realities.
And I think Dr. Kim made an excellent point there about, do they really see themselves as Africans at all? But I think what Brother Ausar is saying is like, why is the U.S. in the African story
Yes.
altogether?
Yes.
So Brother Ausar, you was alluding, or I shouldn't say you was kind of alluding to something, but you kind of said something earlier, like, so you think it's a deeper agenda that the U.S. have?
Of course.
Most definitely.
Yes.
You got to watch. You got to look at everything that's taking place, right?
Mm-hmm.
For one, okay, like the question was just asked about, do the Muslims see themselves as Africans, right? You haven't heard the President of the United States say anything about the Africans being killed. It's the Christians, right? So they're trying to make a distinction, and that's a dividing point, right? Remember the divide and conquer rule, right? And that's one of the things that continuously takes place in Africa, and that's why Kwame Nkrumah said Africa must unite, but we didn't listen. We need to listen. We need to listen to our great thinkers and revolutionaries of the past, because they said colonialism and imperialism will come again, right? If you got Nigeria who's having problems, right, what they consider to be terrorist extremists, which really we know that it's a fight for land, it's a fight for resources, right? That's why you got all these other countries in Africa as well. Africa has 54 countries, right? They need to be one country, right? They have an African Union. How come the African Union can't come together and come up with solutions to stop the what they consider to be genocide in Nigeria, Sudan, the Congo, and all over Africa? Why depend on the United States of America, right, to come and build a relationship with them wherein you're giving consent for them to bomb Africa? It really doesn't make any sense. That's just like a governor over here giving an African country the right to come and bomb a certain territory in the United States. We need to look at these things seriously, right? Because we're talking about sovereignty, right? And if you go to the United Nations international law, the United States basically violated international law when they did what they did. And when they're saying that the Nigerian government cooperated, that's one of the clauses, right, that will give another country the right to, invade or drop bombs or shoot bombs or whatever to another country, right? Because remember, and I stated this earlier, Trump didn't threaten the so-called terrorist group. He threatened Nigeria. He threatened Nigeria's government for allowing what he considered to be Christian genocide to continue. So if it was cooperation, it was forced and it was coerced by the United States government. They also threatened to cut out any type of aid to Nigeria. We need to look at this seriously. And see, and this is what really gets to me, because, you know, I understand our ancestors' ways and teachings, right? And they teach us to control our thoughts and to control our actions, but it has to be an African-centered thought, right? And that's what we need to get back to in Africa and globally, is in the African-centered way of doing things. Because, look, when you accept the Arab way of doing things, it creates chaos and confusion. When you accept the European ways, Christianity, it creates chaos and confusion. Now you got Africans fighting the white man's battle and Africans fighting the Arab battle, and nobody fighting for the African, right? And that's why we have to be African-centered with the knowledge of self and know thyself, and not depend on others' philosophies or ideologies or religious systems, because what it creates is religious psychosis, right? And it's the same thing that we suffer from here in the United States, religious psychosis, where we'll be guided by books that weren't designed for the best interest of African people, right? So when we see everything that's taking place, and then you see the United States come in like they some kind of defender of Christianity, right? And you can see all the Christians that are persecuted today just for being black, just for being African, right? So we have to really look at the real reasons for why the United States stepped in, and not only why, but why the government of Nigeria allowed them to shoot bombs on their own people, right? Because if that was to happen in the United States, it's not going to happen in the United States. It's not going to happen in Europe. It's not going to happen in China. But they pick on weak countries, or who they could perceive to be weak, like Africa and Venezuela. And as black men, as African men, it's time for us to stand up and realize that we ain't second to nobody on this planet. See, it's an inferiority complex that we suffer from, and it's a superiority complex that they suffer from, right? So when people say white supremacy, a lot of people don't like that term because they say they're not supreme in anything. No, they're not. But in their minds, they are. And that's why it's going to take black power in order to crush white power. And see, it's a big move being made today, right, on the planet Earth, for Western powers to take total control of the earth. And the president of the United States is trying to become the president of the world. A lot of people were so focused on everything that's going on in this country, nationally, but his eyes were bigger than nationally. His eyes is on the globe, on the world, and we need to really pay attention to what's going on and raise our consciousness so that we can properly defend ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Can I also ask, in response to, well, let me make a statement that this war style by which we see Donald Trump, and let me not say Nigeria or even the Muslims for that matter, we're just talking about a pattern of practice. Somali, according to what we've heard, is there was a daycare scheme going on in Minneapolis that was carried out by Somalis. Now, I can't tell you that Minneapolis has the population there dominates with Somalians, but the president goes on to threaten the entire state with shutting down all daycare. That's a stretch. And it reminds you, it's sort of symbolic of what we see when we hear him say, I'm going to attack Nigeria, the whole of Nigeria, when it's only a sect of Muslims that are, or the Fulanis, amongst the many sects that are there. And he's not distinguishing that no more than because of the Somalis that you're going to shut down all daycare from Minneapolis. That's a huge stretch. So it seems like there's a pattern of practice of war where they say, if you violate in this way, this is our way of taking ownership or taking, and what I don't want to see is that Nigeria, out of ignorance or help, let America in, and before they know it, they don't even own themselves, because America is good for assisting you and giving you so-called democracy. We're going to set up our diplomacy centers, our embassy centers. We're going to help you out, and before you know it, you no longer exist. You may be a shell of a country, but you don't own yourself. And my other question would be about the other surrounding countries, like our Ibrahim Traoré or Mali and the other surrounding countries. Could they not have helped with their
That was my question. Also.
right, their armed forces? You know, they are now the strong three men of reverence right
The
now.
AES. Right.
AES. So where are we in defending our own people on our own continent? Because I could tell you, America is an opportunist.
Yeah.
And they don't care if you are. They really don't care if you was the Muslims killing the Christians or the Christians killing the Muslims.
Right.
Right.
They will take the opportunity, especially like you said, if there are resources. We see that with Venezuela.
Yeah.
It is not about saving Venezuelans and making sure that they have. It's all about how can we get to the resources. So if this is their way in through the religious fight,
Right. That's right.
then so be it.
Right.
Where are our armed forces around that can come in and sort of, or have you heard anything? That's my question.
Well, thank you so much for your questions. I have listened carefully to understand everything you say.
Sure. Thank you.
I guess God brought me here today to clarify some of these things.
Yes.
I see things in a different way, I
Okay.
guess because I am from the motherland.
Right.
Sure.
And I know and I have a stake in this game.
Sure.
Now, this is not something I read in the books. This is not something somebody told me.
Sure.
I live this, my family is living this in Nigeria right now as we speak. And I have friends that travel to Nigeria, and some of them met their Waterloo while they were visiting, just for Christmas, to go and visit family. Now, I have never ever supported Donald Trump. Never, ever. If you give me $1 million to vote for him, I probably would say no,
Right.
as much as I need the money. But there is a one time that I supported him, and that is this time.
Okay.
And I see what is going on in Venezuela. And I know America is there for the resources of Venezuela. I won't be surprised if there is something in the back of somebody's mind, in this case of Nigeria today. But if you are alive, then you would enjoy your resources. If you are dead, the resources make no sense for you. There are some people that are out to kill everybody who is not a Christian and convert you. There is something that happened, and I brought a lot of material for you to read when you get a time. There is a promise from one of these Islamic groups that every Christian is a target. If you want to live, you better convert, you better pay tithe, basically, like a
Right.
Christian, tithe, to the Muslim group if you want your life, or else you are dead.
Okay.
Now, this is a major threat. This is worse than Donald Trump coming in and telling Nigeria, if you don't protect your own citizens, we are going to bomb those people ourselves.
Sure.
Now, Donald Trump is a dramatist. He dramatizes everything. So don't mind what he says. In this case, he may have said he's going to bomb Nigeria, but he bombed the Islamic terrorists in the wilderness where they live and operate.
Sure.
And he has warned them again. And because of that warning, people are able to relax for a little bit, because they have permeated every part of Nigeria. Now, let me tell you something you don't know. In Nigeria, it's against the law for you to own a firearm. Only one tribe in Nigeria carry AK-47s with their cattle, and they are every part of Nigeria. And if they take their cattle to come into your farm, and they eat the farm that you have taken almost a year to prepare, and this cattle came in there and they eat everything, and if you dare say something, you are dead on the spot. And only one tribe can do this, nobody else, no other tribe in Nigeria, and we have over 200 tribes. Only one tribe can carry firearms. They believe that they are the owners of Nigeria. You know, I want you to read up on Nigeria, please, because then you will understand some of the things,
Right.
dynamics that are at play.
Before, and I know Brother Matt got to get out of here.
Right.
Yeah,
Brother
Captain.
Ausar got another question
Yeah.
for y'all, so I want to ask him real quick. Before Christians or Muslims was in Nigeria, what would they
Worship.
what was their
religious
thing at that
base.
time?
Well, thank God you answered that question, because those answers are contained in these things are printed out for you to read up. And I know many of us, many of our listeners, and even some of us here may not know the history of Nigeria. So I printed a lot, some things that will tell you this.
Okay.
Now, in Nigeria, before the coming of the Christians, about far back as 1530 something, Nigerians began to receive Christian pilgrims coming from different parts of the world, particularly Portugal and other countries. Now, my own part of Nigeria, I am an Igbo from the south. My Igbo people received their religion from the Irish, who came in. Basically, we had people they call animists. This is English word. I don't want to. I don't like to use that word animist, as if they worship animals or they worship nature. Well, yes, a lot of people worshipped nature, just like things that were brought down from Egypt. Of
Right.
course, you know, my people are Israelites or Jewish,
Okay.
not Jewish Jews, because there is a difference between Jewish and Jews. And I want you to read up on that if you can. Now, my people are Jews.
Okay.
When the Constantinople started to fight the Jews, trying to dominate the Jews, a lot of the Jews ran away from Israel and came down into Nigeria and all the way down to the southern part of Nigeria.
When what happened?
And when Constantinople, that was one of the European kings
Christians, right?
in those days,
Yeah.
they were fighting crusades.
Right. That's why I don't understand it, because the Christians have been doing just as much
Yes, yes.
killing
And-
as
and
they
I-
saying that
if
the
you-
Muslims are doing.
If you listen, I agreed with you when you were speaking.
Right.
We have a problem, and our problem is religion. If we can, for once, put religion aside and think about ourselves as Africans, we will be doing much better for us, for ourselves.
Yeah, I think
But
that's
you
what
see,
that's
this
what we're saying.
idea
there.
of religion has destroyed Africa. And guess what? We are fighting for the Arabs because we are Muslims. We are fighting for the Europeans because we are Christians. We are fighting for the,
And you
we are
said that
fighting for
initially.
everybody except for ourselves.
Cells, yes. I think you both were
So
saying the
I'm
same
not,
thing.
I'm not supporting calling the Muslims what they are, or supporting calling the Christians what they are. We have a common problem, that is religion. Some
Yes.
of us lose our minds when we think about your grandmother. Whenever you say something wrong about, let's say Christ.
Oh yeah.
I don't think we're taking the sovereignty seriously, right? Because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, like, if Nigeria was to come and drop a bomb on the United States, what would the response be?
Can I answer that question real quickly? You
Yes.
see, if you are thinking of Nigeria as a government, if you are thinking about Nigeria as your normal, if you think about the government of Nigeria as your normal government, then that will apply. If you're talking about a country that has equal amount of mineral resources and riches than this United States you live in today, and yet is one of the poorest countries even in Africa, then you will be talking about something. Do you know there is no mineral resource that you can think about in the world that is not in Nigeria in
Right.
abundance?
And that's my
Yet
point.
our people, we have a problem of government. Our people are more advanced than our government. Our government, our leaders come to steal. They don't come to govern.
Right. Well,
You can't find a good road going from one state to another in Nigeria. You can't find a good school, a good hospital. When our leaders get sick, they go to Europe for treatment because there is no hospital in Nigeria they themselves can trust to treat them.
Well,
Yet
well,
we
I
are-
like this. I like to say this, right? Because you made a statement that about you are from Nigeria,
Yes.
and you understand their politics. I'm not from the United States, even though I was born here. I'm from Africa, right? And I understand the politics of the United States, and I've experienced the politics of the United States, right? And the United States have been very cruel
I agree.
to African people.
True.
They've been very cruel to the black people here in the United States, even up to today, right? And that's why I take issue with them doing more damage on Africa. I don't care what it is. It's not none of their business, right? Because what goes on in Africa is for Africa, and that's a problem that we have, right? Where we depending on others to come and solve our problems like we're not thinking beings, right? In our teachings, it teaches us, control your thoughts. And the second one is control your actions. Our thoughts have to be governed and guided by African-centered values, ethics, and principles that's going to benefit all African people. To allow your enemy to drop bombs and to agree with them on your own people because they practice a different religion, not taking exception to what they're doing, because violence is not good either way around. But we know this violence has been going on for thousands of years between the Christians and the Muslims, right? And now they have Africa as a battlefield, right? They're using Africa as a battlefield for the war between the Europeans and the Arabs. We have got to wisen up as a people. And I know it ain't as easy as it sounds, but we have got to understand the power that we possess as a people, right? The first thing we need to do, and that's why they really upset, is because the AES, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger pushed the French out, right? It pissed a lot of people off, right? Because they're showing power and they're showing self-determination. And it's not by coincidence that where they dropped them bombs at, where they shot them bombs at, is right close to the Niger border. It's an intimidation tactic, right? All of Africa needs to surround themselves around strong leadership like Ibrahim Traore. See, this has now taken the place of the conversation of what the AES is doing as far as solidifying their power and naturalizing the resources so that it benefits Africa, the country, and the people of that country. That's why, and I'm going to repeat it for the third time, Kwame Nkrumah said, Africa must unite. We have to put these religious ideologies and things to the side when we're talking about Africa and the benefit of African people, because it's a silly conversation at the end of the day when you have the world's biggest terrorists calling other people terrorists and extremists. What the United States did was extreme, to drop bombs on a foreign country that has its sovereignty. We have to be serious. See, we can't look at the United States like it's bigger than the world, because it's not. And that's what's taking place here. The United States is flexing its power and muscle. And as African people, I don't feel, in my personal opinion, that we should side with our open enemies. Because when you look at what's going on here in the United States, in the African American community, in the black community, when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to education, when it comes to employment, when it comes to how basically they have used our labor to build up the wealth of this country, and yet they still refuse to treat us with any type of dignity, right? And they openly express how they feel about us through their institutional and systemic racism. So if they openly practice institutional and systemic racism in this country, why are they concerned about Africans in Nigeria? They're not. It's a power move. It's a power move of trying to intimidate, because they don't want Africa to get strong around, behind the young, incredible leader, Captain Ibrahim Traore, and also the wonderful leaders of Mali and Niger, because they're setting the precedence. And the whole world is watching. I think we need to put our eyes back on the AEFs, the Sahel region, and support them so that they can support the rest of Africa, and Africa can unite the way we're supposed to unite, and so that we can have power, because we're powerless. If we weren't powerless, they wouldn't invade the way they invade. We allow them to invade because we're weak, and we need to get strong. And and I'm going to be honest, it don't hurt me to say that we weak, because our 10th principle is have the ability to distinguish the real from the unreal. And I've been on this planet long enough to see weakness and to see strength. And as Africans, we have got to get strong.
So again, it takes us back to the question: where are our, if we cannot afford to allow the United States to invade Nigeria as a whole,
Africa.
Well, then where is Africa to stand up for everyone else in that capacity? Because again, they're going to do what they are going to do. They're going to take advantage of opportunities, and whether it benefits Nigeria or not, the United States is going to do its due diligence to take over wherever they can. And we can challenge their motive, but we already know their motive. We don't have to ask that. Again, where are we when it comes to the others? When it comes to protecting our own? Because let me say this. When you say to them, don't allow the United States to come and bomb your country because of religion. Well, I'm going to beg to differ when I say, and this is not against the United States, this is just in general. Are these Fulanis really Nigeria's people? Do they belong in this region? They are out of place. As I hear you say, that there is really nothing to protect because they are not from here. They are causing chaos, and you want to rid them quickly because you have a crisis. Who can we get other than the United States to answer that crisis?
Very, very good question. and this is why I take the stand that I take. As much as I like to protect Africa from these foreign countries coming in, we have to blame ourselves. I am a Nigerian. If Nigerian leaders were doing what they were supposed to do, Nigeria probably can invade US and defeat US. If the government
I believe that with all my heart.
But where are we? A state in the United States can defeat the whole of West Africa because we have leaders who are not thinking about their people, they are thinking about their pockets. They steal every penny they can and bring it over to America and keep it in American banks so that American banks can use it to create jobs for Americans, and their people don't have jobs.
Well, I
We
got
don't
one more
have
question for you before you leave. I have a question.
Well, I still am waiting for him to answer
Yes,
about
that question I'm
Ibrahim.
coming.
Where are our
Now,
military powers in Africa to
ask you-
help our people?
Let me ask you a question in return. Why do you
Yes.
think Ibrahim Traore decided to topple the government in power? It is only because of the same reason we're talking about here.
Yes.
Because they are not leaders, they are misleaders, misrulers. That's what we have in Africa, misrulers. Until they stand up and become leaders, then Africa will not have to worry about America. America is there because they are needed. They have ulterior motives. We understand that. But what do you say to somebody who cannot even sleep in their own house? They have to run into the bushes, go stay, so that they can be safe. So if somebody comes there with a gun and say, look, come back to your house. I'm here to protect you. Do you think they won't come? That's the role America is playing because we are not doing what we are supposed to do. So I don't blame America one bit that people are being killed in mass. There is no day that you read up on Nigerian news, you won't find 50 people, 80 people were killed in their house. They set it on fire. Children burned to ashes.
Brother Matt.
By so-called people who are worshiping Arab God.
Yeah, so I'm just
I
saying,
don't
do
know.
we have any allies that are in Africa
We have-
who could help us?
Nobody, because you don't have any strong nations in Africa
To
that
go
can
against
stand up.
this Fulani people.
Well,
Okay.
the Fulani people came into Nigeria is the richest country in Africa, the largest country in Africa. They came with jihad in 1804. They conquered the Hausa tribe of the north. Now, let me tell you something that will baffle you. In Nigeria, there are three major tribes. The Hausa is the largest tribe in Nigeria. The Igbo and the Yoruba. Okay? Now, the Hausa, who are the largest population in Africa, in Nigeria, if not in West Africa, they don't have one state that they have a governor of. The Fulani came from Arab land, conquered the whole of the north, the whole of the Hausas, and basically subjugated them. They don't allow them to go to school. They don't allow them to take any leadership roles. And until today, the largest population in Africa don't have representation when it comes to one state being governed by an Hausa man. Now, all these other three tribes, the Yoruba, the Hausa, and the Igbos, Igbo has 6 states that they govern. The Yoruba has 6 states that they govern. The Fulani from the north, they have 9 states they govern. So this person that came from the Marabs came in, destroyed the whole of the people of the north, took over. Now they are the leaders from the north. No Hausa man.
Okay.
So they are also the ones that dominate Nigerian army, the Nigerian Air Force, the Nigerian Navy, the police, everything you can think of. So if you found a Fulani person that killed somebody makes a call, and he is discharged from jail.
Right.
So these people they need to be really taken care of. Basically, they did the same thing in Central African Republic, and they were chased. If you go to Central African Republic today, no Fulani can hold any government office, because when they come, they are like parasites. They come in, they attach to something, and then before you knew it, they kill the host and take over. That's what they do. They don't mind killing you in a minute.
Wow.
So they don't have conscience. They love their cattle more than they love a human being.
That's here too.
Well, I don't want to just. I mean, I think it's kind of. I think we should look at this more so than just one way, right? Because okay, when we talk about the colonizers, right? Who colonized Nigeria?
Britain.
Right, Britain, Great Britain, right?
And there is no reason for them to bring Yorubas, Igbos, and Fulani and the Hausa together, because they are not compatible. Right. That's why everybody is fighting to divide Nigeria into small pieces.
Brother Mac, I know you're on the time frame
yes.
now, and I hear your phone steady buzzing off.
But Great Britain, right? Great Britain were the colonizers for Nigeria.
Correct.
And in Great Britain, basically, they left their Western philosophy as far as education. And I think it's fair that when we're talking about what's considered to be the terrorists and extremists like Boko Haram, which is basically the name in itself is banned Western education. Right, banned Western education. So basically what they're doing is they're fighting the colonizers' ideology. They're not so much fighting the Africans. They're fighting against our ideology.
No, that's a wrong interpretation.
Right. No, think about it. Because if they're banning Western education, what is Western education?
No, you see, you're looking at the language of it.
Right.
They are banning not only Western education, development in general. Because as a woman, you're not supposed to go to school. Is that a good thing?
No. Well,
as a woman, you're not supposed to keep your hair
basically
open.
Well, because when they basically I'm not sure that that's correct.
Yeah, women cannot be educated. They are killing women in schools because they don't believe women should be in schools.
Right, but the question is this.
That's Boko Haram.
Right, it's what? Banned Western education, right? So basically their fight is with the West, right? It's in the name, Boko Haram, right? So think about it. Now, the greatest imperialist, and this was basically quoted by a man from Great Britain, was Britain, right? As far as colonizing, right? Because you could think of other countries in Africa that they colonized, such as Ghana, such as Kenya, such as Nigeria. So when you look at the colonizers, which are from the West, right? And so when you look at the United States coming in, they're doing the job of the West. When Burkina Faso, Mali, and you stated about how great of a job Ibrahim Traore was done, they kicked the French out, which was the colonizers. Nobody had a problem with them kicking the colonizers out.
There are two different things we're talking about here.
Well, right? Let me finish my point, right? Because I don't think it is. Because if the United States, right, which are trying to basically get into Nigeria to set up base or sell them weapons or whatever, and we know it's close to the Sahel region, right? And we know how they feel about Captain Ibrahim Traore because of what? He kicked the French out. Right? The West don't like that. So when you look at what Boko Haram represents, right, it's an ideology. Just like you said, they don't believe that the girls should get educated. That's their belief system. Right? I'm not going to argue with their belief system. I'm not going to argue with the Europeans' belief system, because I know that Africans, we have an African-centered orientation that's going to be best for us. So basically, Boko Haram, they feel like a Western education is not good for Africa because of colonialism and imperialism. I challenge that because the Arabs have done the same thing that the Europeans have done. when you're talking about colonization, imperialization, and mass genocide in Africa, right? I'm speaking from an African perspective, not Christian or Muslim, because I'm neither one. I'm African-centered tradition for a reason, because I know what it's going to take to defeat them. Because I was in the military, the Marine Corps, and I know how the United States think. And I know that what they did was not for the best interest of Nigeria, Nigerians, Africa, or Africans. So I'm just saying, before we jump on the side of the United States, let's do deeper research as far as the history of the United States
But
and
Brother
the way they
Kevin-
treat Africans and black people.
Brother Kevin, I think we've already solidified that the United States means them no good. They have an
Well,
ulterior
we don't have
motive.
any qualms about that.
I want to make
Right,
sure that
but
that
I-
point is made, because the United States don't have no right to be any type of moral judgment of any country on this planet
My
because of
brother-
what they've done.
And guess what? I think they've lived since their existence. That's always been a fact. It was then, and it is
can I ask him
now.
a question?
But I'm still asking the same question.
Okay, why
I'm-
are the other African nations not coming to
What?
help?
I get it.
Because they
Please, listen. I get it.
There is none.
Right, and that is a problem.
So, right.
That is
That's
a
why we got to
key.
get strong.
We have to.
Do you know?
Wait a minute, Brother Mag.
Okay.
We have to come to the reality of no, we do not. The United States don't need to be nowhere right at
right.
all.
That's right.
Like we don't want to see their flag flown in anybody's
right.
country acting like they Captain Saver.
That's exactly
anything
right.
like
That's
they don't
right.
have a space. They don't have a place. However, you have other nations that are right around Nigeria who could combine to take these forces out. I'm trying to understand. And maybe the truth of the matter is they don't have the capacity right now. They don't have they're just recently kicking out colonialism out of their own country and trying to rebuild and restructure based off of decades and centuries of captivity and management and operation. So maybe they don't even want to touch another man's issue. I get that. So unfortunately, for the people who are getting slaughtered on day one by just some religious fanatics, we're not even talking about Africans. We're talking about people who are so crazy they don't know who they are. Right now, they just religious and they crazy. So I wouldn't even say that they're religious, because religion, real religion, I don't care what they serve, does not have you slaughtering other human beings. So I wouldn't even consider them to be what you would say Muslim. I would just, because what we find is that this behavior is across the board. We've seen crazy Christians, we done seen crazy Muslims, and just crazy people. These are just crazy people, and they need to be sat down, incarcerated or something, and the name Africa don't need to go with them. They may be in Africa, but mentally, they are off the chain. And you are going, and if you're in survival, you are going to reach, I remember this argument even with my brother. My brother had 14 to 22 years. He had 18 to 36 years in the feds. And Obama and them fought like hell. I know, because I helped him file paperwork to get him out of the feds, and we were gridlocked on every side. Trump and his crew was able to get my brother out in year 14. Did we reject his help? No. Did we really didn't? We would have preferred that help to come from Obama, who tried so hard. I got paperwork to show. And his judge literally said, when Obama tried to help our guys, he said, I will not adhere to any laws that he put in place. And Trump came back and used the same laws that Obama did. He didn't even make up anything new, just like the Obamacare Act. He didn't even make up anything new. He used Obama's law and got my brother out. Was I disappointed? Yes, but he got him out in the middle of COVID at Butner, where a young man had escaped and people were dying at Butner, and some dead. Would I have preferred my brother to be released from Obama versus Trump? Yes, but when you're in the middle of a fight in a crisis, you would take any help. That is level. That is the law of preservation.
That's my point right here.
I think that's what
You
Brother
see,
Matt
it's
was
the-
saying.
That's the law of
That's
preservation.
not a wise. That's not a wise.
yeah,
white
but-
white
yeah,
people,
yeah.
white
So-
people enslaved black people, but it was also white people that stopped slavery. So,
But well, slavery really hasn't stopped.
well, it hasn't.
And-
but
and
you
it
see,
really wasn't-
The
that really
laws,
wasn't
when
the
it comes
point.
to
So,
laws,
yeah, but-
the countries put in place in the whole of Europe, in the whole of America, and the other places, laws that were used for keeping people in slavery. It was revoked by other white people fighting, knowing that slavery is a very bad thing, and they didn't want to be associated with it. It wasn't all of them, it was some, if you know what I mean.
Nah,
Now, one more thing I want to say before I leave. Do you know who tried to take war to Ibrahim Traore on behalf of France?
On behalf of France. Who?
It was President of Nigeria.
Right, of course.
Now, so we are talking about
Hold on.
We
Can
African-
you say that again? Hold on.
so when France was kicked out of Burkina
Right,
Faso,
right.
France was working with President of Nigeria
Okay.
to go back and
I'm caught up.
retake.
Yeah.
Yes. So now, when you're talking about being, Afrocentric, there are some leaders we have that don't deserve the name leadership. Their name and leader doesn't
right.
go in the same place.
No.
And until we get our act together, if you have a country and you have leaders who cannot even protect their own citizens, if another country wants to come and protect those citizens, I say, yeah, come on in. No, because people are dying in mass. If you know what I know about what is going on in Nigeria, you would be harder.
No.
Why
see,
they ain't in Sudan?
Well,
The same thing going on in Sudan.
Yeah, I can understand. See, Brother Matt is he got
I have to run though.
yeah, he got some his family and all is there. So
My whole family is in Nigeria.
right, so he's coming from a
Let me show you something.
a different
Survival.
vision from it.
He's
Yeah.
surviving. He in survival mode.
Well, we
But I
in
think-
survival mode here in the United States too. Come
No,
on now.
but I
we
think
suffer
what-
the same.
No,
See,
no,
it ain't no difference.
you
They
don't-
kill us.
you
They
don't-
kill us in the streets
I'm trying
here in the United States.
I'm
See,
trying to
there
get
is a
I'm trying to
difference. You
get,
see, here
get
in
to the
America,
point to
I
say,
can wake up by 4 a.m. and get in my
Persecution
car
is
and decide to go
persecution.
to Maryland.
Bro.
And I wouldn't
Persecution for
have
black
anybody
people.
on the road hijacking me, kidnapping me, or any between here and Virginia or Maryland.
so let me get
Well, we
finished.
have-
Can't do that.
Let me finish trying to say what I was trying to attempt to say. Brother Matt also, what the points that Brother saw passionately is trying to say is that he understand the way the government work, and once you give them,
Yeah, I've been a
once you
part of
give
the
them,
government.
once you give them that inch,
I
they're
agree.
gonna take the full mile.
That's right.
I have
So-
lived there for 42 years.
Yeah,
So I'm not a novice in that matter.
I was in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
I was in federal prison. I study on a daily basis, and I also have lived the experience of being basically, in a sense, racism has been practiced against me, my brothers and sisters, all of our people, right? I experience it here. The same way the Nigerians are experiencing, all other Africans and all other black people in the diaspora. That's why Pan-Africanism is calling for all of us to unite, right? And we're trying to leave out religion, but it's hard to leave out religion because of religious psychosis, right? And people take more a part of their religion they do of being Africa, right? So my whole point here, right, is who is the United States, right, with the atrocities that they are still committing today here on this soil with black people to go and try to act like they are trying to be the saviors for
Try
others,
to
right?
give moral advice,
So
right.
yeah, right. So basically, I can understand his point of view that they come in and they saving Christians, whatever that's supposed to mean. All right, what if they choose the next day they want to be Muslim? or then they want to choose back. Like it's
Brother
African people.
Kevin,
It's African people.
There are more
that-
Africans committing more crimes against fellow Africans than America will ever. And let me tell you
Of
something.
course.
This is where Dr. Kim is getting to. Like, where's the
Yes.
connection? This is something that we've been saying. This is what
I
this,
agree
the
with
show
what,
Africans
I agree
United.
with what my brother Kevin is saying.
Right, right.
Divide
So-
and conquer is what's
Right.
happening. And I think my point is being missed because
No.
we're focusing on religion and we're not focusing on Africans.
This
I
is
am
why
focusing
this
on
is
human
why I'm trying to
rights.
I
get
think
to
it's
right now.
both. I think
In-
you have
in-
to have
in
an
Africa.
offense and a defense. I think you are dealing with both offensive and defensive. Now we talk about Africans United. That's offensively, but offensively, you build your protection. But if you don't have that protection, we immediately go back into defense. And the question, we can take our time with offense. Look at us. We are just taking our own sweet time building protections. We are taking our own. We don't even have. We are not even protecting our own right here in America. We have black people who are dragging their feet on what it takes to protect. And this is a microcosm
That's right.
of what we are seeing there.
That's right.
The way that we don't protect our people over here, the bourgeoisie.
That's right, Dr.
How,
Kim.
how are they? How
the same thing.
It's the same
It's the same
thing. It's just exasperated there because they dragging you out your house and killing all your
Or
family.
even don't even bother to drag you out. They set you on fire in your house.
Okay, so we're talking about
family.
an extreme.
It's crazy.
And when you scream help, you don't care who get you out the fire.
If you are drowning,
So until we are ready offensively to say that, I always say we tried to tell white people that black lives mattered. But what we found is that black lives did not even matter to our own
our
people.
own.
That's
people.
right.
You see, all these killings are being done by black people.
Exactly. So,
It's not Americans that are killing us. It's our own people
it
killing us.
is America that's killing you, but indirectly.
Well, it's Arabs that are Muslims, right?
Right.
They are the Arabs that are. These people believe in their religion.
That is
they are
correct.
killing their fellow brothers and sisters.
That is correct. So
So
that's
who do you blame? Do you blame the Christian or do you blame the Muslim or who do you blame?
And I'm
when you
gonna-
are killed, you are killed.
that is right. And so that is why I'm saying
I mean,
again, it's a problem across the board. We are seeing the patterns of passivity in both. We in America, and we still passive towards protecting our own people. I can tell you, when police kill our boys, Daryl Wims was one of our last major killings. I could tell you how many people came out to his vigil to argue, right in our own community.
Right.
Do you know who came to that vigil? White people came to the vigil. We had more white people, and they made the signs. They made the signs to say, "Don't kill us." Don't kill who? They made signs. I got them at my house. When they collect them back, they give them to me. They bring water bottles if we decide to march. They bring trail mix if we decide to eat. They prepare us if we want to cry out or do a sit-in all day long. I'm going to tell you where the black people were in America, chilling in their crib.
Yeah.
I got pictures to show for it. So let me just say this. It's a microcosm of what's happening in both areas. If we do not stand up for our own people, guess what? Somebody's going to take their opportunity, whether it's a good opportunity or a bad opportunity. Somebody's going to take, and the problem is, we may be thinking we're saving ourselves then, but we will exchange something for later now. Will that be just Nigeria's fault?
Right.
No, that will be all of
That's right.
our
That's
fault.
exactly right. That's
And
right.
then,
Yeah.
and let the chips fall where they may.
No,
You know,
something
we always
something was
say-
said real quick, brother man. I'm sorry. Something was said that we can't miss either. I heard that the Nigerian president was allied with what's
France.
it? The France?
That's right, against Ibrahim.
Anyway, so in their eyes, it's probably in their interest to get the help from that's their allies as
The
is.
Western,
Right.
they already westernized.
No,
Nigeria is.
that's what I'm.
That was my point about
Yeah.
Boko Haram.
Right.
Supposedly, Nigeria
That's
is
pretty
the
good.
Nigeria is the hope of the black man. Nigeria
Yeah.
is the largest country that is populated by black people. Nigeria is supposed to be the richest country that is black
Yeah.
in the whole world. Nigeria has over almost 320 million people.
That's right.
Can you imagine that number of people? The economic power is unbelievable. Nigeria has every mineral resource you can find in the world. The best ones.
I don't believe that.
Yes.
No. I don't believe that they're that economically powerful.
No, they're
because
not.
Because if they were, they
the
would
potential.
be able to protect themselves.
That's what I'm telling you. They
Right.
have, the, they
I
have
don't
it
believe
there.
that.
They have
Yeah.
it there in the country, but it's being mismanaged. It's being mismanaged. Do you know the Chinese are in Nigeria mining gold and flying it directly from the north straight to China?
That's
without
without
accountability. You know why? Because they can give a few people some
That's
bribe.
right. That's
So
right.
we have everything we need. I don't want to make excuses for Nigeria.
Yeah.
If America has to come and save your people, shame on you.
It's
I got a question.
That's what I have to say.
There we go.
Yeah, let me just-
brother
Because
Matt.
I got an interesting point, right? About
Yeah.
what's more dangerous. I mean, what hurts Nigeria more? Would you say it's the government, or would you say that it's the so-called extremists and terrorists?
It's both of them.
I think it's
They are in
both.
cahoots.
I think the most is coming from the
Thank you,
government
brothers,
right
man.
now.
That's the best.
Yeah.
He can't. He
Thank
can't
you for
see.
coming.
Take five.
Bro-
Take five.
brother.
Take five,
Uh-huh.
He's
Thank
reaching
you.
for.
Bless you. He
Oh,
said-
He reaching out.
Oh, you know my eyes are bad.
Yeah, that's why I
Thank
said
you,
he's
Ron.
reaching out.
Thank you, brother.
Thank
Mac.
you, Brother Mac.
The madam is so.
I felt like I was Nigerian
Yeah,
up in
no,
here.
no,
I'm
no.
about
That's
to fight
no,
somebody.
what I would like. The point I would like to make, right, about what's going on in Nigeria, right? Because, like, when we talked about the colonization and imperialism of Great Britain, who had been, called the worst imperialists on this planet, right? And basically, what they have done in Nigeria, and then the brother he was just talking about the corruption and how rich Africa was as far as Nigeria was with the 320 million people and all the money that they make because of the minerals. And I said I don't believe it, because I feel like if your economy was thriving like that, you would be able to put protection on yourself, right? So, and the point I was trying to make about Boko Haram is that they're in opposition to Western education and the Western way of life, which is Great Britain, not so much Nigeria, right? So I think that you have a European ideology and an Arab ideology at play here, and it's a war that's been taking place for a long time, and they got us right in the middle of the war.
Well, yeah, and this is why I asked him, what was it before Muslims or Christians was there?
Right.
Because you got the Western and the Arabs and the Westerns, they're clashing, but we chose one of those sides, and I say we, I mean the Nigerians.
Right.
They chose one of those sides, so
It's based off of geography.
They've been what I'm saying is the system. They already chose the Western system, but you do have some rebellion over there, like you said, the Boko Haram.
Right.
Well, what I'm getting to is what like Dr. Kim was trying to say, and I asked you this when we were speaking on it in the car, brother Ausar. Where are the other countries? If the other countries was combining, we wouldn't have this problem. Now, I also know that, like the Nigerian president, they all been compromised, and and most of the presidents in most of the countries been compromised. We know a lot of the countries are standing up now and starting to try to get back. And the point I did hear Dr. Kim say also that they might not just be strong enough to step into that type of situation right now.
Well, let me also say this. I think he answered the question right before he left. As bad as we want to...
I heard him when he walked out.
I'm
Go
going to
ahead.
say it
Yeah.
again. As much as we don't want... I think we're all on the same page when we say America has no place in nobody's business. But when you have an open president, and I'm reading it here, when you have an open president who is strengthening ties with France, and that's where you go, that's your choice.
Right.
To go with the Western powers. It don't matter what Boca Raton says. That's a nice definition. Leave the West alone, or don't take up any of their mental capacity. But the truth of the matter is, everybody in Africa ain't African. Just like all kin folks ain't, all skin folks ain't kin folks.
Right.
We're dealing with two different realities. Yes, we should unite. Africans united. We're here to talk about Africans united. The problem is when African is up for sale. And it's up for sale by other leaders. So we're dealing with what we want versus what the reality is. And if you have, Brother Ausar said, how many countries in Africa?
54.
54. We have 54 countries. We have 3 that have united so far to a certain degree. And then we have one that is the largest, one of the largest countries inside of Africa, are still putting it up for sale and asking the West to come in and help them invade in their own country.
Yes.
That's like burning your own bridge, because mentally they think the colonials are better than the 3. You know, that the truth of the matter is, instead of siding, this Nigerian president should have sided with the 3
AES.
the AES,
Right.
and then he would have probably had a better chance at defeating those internal fights within his own country versus calling for the outsiders to come in. I hope that makes sense.
No, it did. That's why I
let
defer.
me kind of
Go
break
ahead.
that down, because I've been trying to break this point down, right? But I haven't been able to get to it, and so we're gonna have to really slow this down and keep up with it. Do y'all remember when we had? You might not have been here that time, Dr. Kim, when we was talking about ECOWAS.
Yeah.
No, I was not. That word
and-
don't sound familiar
right,
to me.
Yeah.
In Nigeria, right?
Yeah.
Which is dealing with what, economics in the Western African states,
Right.
right? And the president of Nigeria was once the president of ECOWAS.
Yeah.
Now you remember ECOWAS wanted to invade Niger because of the coup d'etat, but the Nigerians didn't want to, because some of their relatives was on the other side. The Hausa. He was just talking about the Hausa, right? That's on both sides.
Yes.
So they say they won't want to fight their own. So why did ECOWAS want to invade? Because Nigeria did what? They kicked who out? The French.
Yeah.
Right? Tinubu, the president of Nigeria, now he was what? He was the president. He was a part of what? ECOWAS. Right? So they didn't invade. So now think about it. The Sahel region. Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali. Who did they kick out? The French. Right? The president, remember, he's what? He's a Muslim. He's a Muslim.
Yeah.
Right? But yet, who is he basically working with? The French.
Well, yeah.
Right? So, he is basically right there in the middle. Right? So, remember, in the initial reports, the Nigerian government, they said that there was not no Christian genocide. Now, they're trying to say he's saying that because he's Muslim. Now, remember, Boko Haram, what are they fighting against? Western education and the Western way of life, right? The colonizers, right? The imperialists. France, they're one of the colonizers, one of the imperialists. So who would they use, basically, to be able to set up base? Nigeria. Because President Tinubu, and he's had his legal issues here in the United States for drug trafficking, right? This is the president of Nigeria. So he already has a history of what? Corruption, right? And what? Getting in trouble. What does he have in common with the president of the United States? They're both
I
felonies.
guess felons, yeah.
Right. You get what I'm, so it's 2 peas in a pot.
That is correct.
So some kind of way, the United States had leverage over Nigeria
They
to
business
get
plan.
them to agree to it. But really, they didn't agree. If you go back and you do the study and you listen to the words of Tinubu and you listen to the words of the African Union, they were not in agreement with the United States doing what they did. So we have to look at the bigger picture. What is this really about?
I think you made a solid point earlier when you was talking about how close it was to the Nigeria border.
Yes.
How it was I think that was a very solid point.
Did you just read something about the president dealing with?
I'm reading now. Yes, sir.
Can you read it, please?
Sure. And let me say this, just looking at what I'm looking at now, it's obvious that the Nigerian president is in allyship.
Well, that's what I was gonna say when you
With
said
France.
how much to sell. Like, no, they've been sold.
They sold.
Yeah,
And
and-
so, of course, and it goes back to, let me say this, Brother Ausar, every Sunday, we remind people of how to go back and take these 10 virtues that we are
Right.
taught.
Right.
One of them that I've been taught while you all are teaching me about those virtues is know thyself.
That's right.
We are talking to whole entire countries where the people are detached from knowing themselves.
Yeah.
They've been colonized for so long. They believe that the colonizer, even if you kick them out, it looks like to me, he done welcomed them back. I'm reading where they said they have re-strategized their allyship for a better strategy. They have been sold on now, we were wrong, but we're going to do right by you, and we're going to work this out. And it don't take much for our people. And let me say this. It don't matter if you economically strong. It don't matter if you have the most people in the world, because they never, they have all of these things. They have all the minerals. If you don't see yourself in the right light,
that's right.
you're going to be had on every platform. And that is what we see here. We see a country that has all the resources, they have the population, and they have the engineering. That some of the best engineers come out of Nigeria now.
Hey, brother Matt.
Him and his son.
Listen,
Him and his son.
Yeah.
I was a teacher at Torchlight,
Right.
and those babies' fathers were engineers. They would come into the classroom, and you knew their status.
Right.
I never had to say, "Where's your homework?" And if these children didn't want trying to be thugs, they actually looked down on us a little bit in my classroom. Right. So when I tell you, but guess what? In my class, even though they were amongst us, they felt like they should have been amongst white folks. Some of them.
But see, that's the British colonization.
That's
right there.
colonization.
And that's the British mindset, unfortunately. That and
And that's
about,
what
like
we're battling.
That's
what we're battling.
When you say that they allowed the French back, that's important. I'm gonna tell you why it's important. Because for the fourth time, what Kwame Nkrumah said, when he said Africans must unite or the colonizers will be back.
That's
and
right.
That's exactly what's taking place.
Right.
Is they are back. They never really went anywhere.
But they in the mind. They in the mind. They left with the body, but they in the mind.
That's right.
This thing said, this alliance builds on existing relationships with French President Emmanuel Macron and Tinubu, sharing a personal connection from Macron's time in Nigeria, facilitating discussions on stabilizing Nigeria's security, economic growth, and strategic collaboration. Now, I'm going to tell you what the Native Americans here said. He said, do not talk to the white man. They probably, they didn't have many words. They don't have no laws. They ain't got nothing. All he said is do not talk to them, because they knew if you open your mouth, they were going to take just conversing with them alone, you are going to be beat out of because they got mad talk game.
Right.
They got mad.
Right.
Listen, you better know your opponent. Everything they do is not just physical. It ain't always the shooting gun. Sometimes it's just how do you break 500 treaties? Come on, y'all. Native Americans was beat out of their land, and they signed 500 treaties because they manipulated them and got them to the table to make them think that they were civilized. Anytime you start talking about certain things, strategies, we are not mentally in the capacity to fight because we do not know the art of war. And there are so many layers. The problem is our Nigerian brothers are had because they are colonialized with France being there or without France being there. And I work with, and let me say this and I'm going to pass this on, but I work with an attorney. I work with an attorney who is from Sierra Leone. And he would talk about it daily. That even though, because they were invaded by the French, they were colonialized by the French. But now Sierra Leone is his own republic, or what have you. He said the people had it was almost as if when they left, the people didn't know how to function without them. And they were in a worse state. And I couldn't even fathom him saying worse state. The colonizers are gone. He said, Kim, now they act like they don't want to use running water. They just fell apart because they never thought for themselves from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And now they have to go through a repair period, almost like a renaissance, on trying to regain humanity on their own. And believe it or not, we can talk about them, but you ask the Black Americans here, what happened to them immediately after slavery. You had some people forge ahead, and then you had some people was like, well, where's we gonna go, master? And that's how some of them got trapped back on the plantation under the peonage and the sharecropping. They didn't go nowhere. They actually started working the farms that they would work former plantations on. So if we don't get our mind right, when you say know thyself, but also your mind work, what's the
Control your thoughts.
Control your thoughts.
Control
If you
your
have
actions,
never
yeah.
been able to secure protection for yourself, Master provided all the protection. Master provided all the food.
That's right.
Master provided everything. Then guess what? Who you gonna call? You're not gonna call your own people because you never saw them as a resource in the first place.
It's factual.
Yeah, yes, that's very, very, because it's very interesting, this whole conversation, right?
Oh,
Because,
yes. It's good.
You hit it on the head when you said, and really, that's really what we're about more than anything is solutions. I know I've been doing a little ranting today.
Brother, sorry about you. King Kong,
I enjoyed it.
Yes.
I enjoyed it because,
We did too.
you have to basically speak the truth. And you have to, like number 10, our values, right? Our principle, 10 virtues of initiative. Have the ability to distinguish the real from the unreal. That's very important, right? And that's why the question you asked was so valuable and important. What did we practice in Nigeria, or let's just say Africa, before the invasion and the colonization and imperialism of Islam and Christianity? Because both of these were foreign ideologies, even though they had their root foundation in African spirituality, but it was brought back to us, right? After leaving Africa with the fundamental foundational pillars of religious systems, right? And know thyself is the most key important thing for us as African people. Because if you're practicing a foreign ideology, philosophy, spiritual system, religious system, like Christianity, right? And remember what Pope Nicholas V said: go and invade Africa. And anyone who's not a Christian, because we weren't Christians then, right? So they used Christianity as a way to invade Africa and enslave our ancestors and enslave us. And we are the products of our ancestors that were enslaved. Right? And I think so when you look at, when I was making the point about Boko Haram, and for some reason I didn't get a chance to really make my point, is that they are just basically in direct opposition to Western education and philosophy. And it's a reason for that, right? And they have their reasons for that. Just like Christianity is in direct opposition to what? Islam, right? The two don't get along, even though they two had the same base of being coming from Abraham, right? So really it don't make no sense what the fuss and fight is about when we're talking about the Creator or we're talking about God. It shows the level of not having the intelligence to understand that if we're talking about the Creator. See, I'm gonna be honest, I was sitting and I was thinking the other day, I said, wow, I said life is beautiful. I say the world is beautiful if we would take a chance to look at it. It ain't the world or life, it's the people and the decisions that are made to dominate out of greed and out of avarice, right? Because in our principles, as far as African-centered traditions, Shetawat Netta enjoins the sharing of the resources. It teaches us to share with one another. It teaches us, Shetawat Netta enjoins the protection of the weak and oppressed, right? Not the domination, like what you see with the United States doing, or what you see with the Arabs do, the Muslim states who want to basically make Islam a religion that spreads across not only Nigeria, but Africa. So if you have groups that they consider to be extremists and terrorists, that they have some solid backing in the Islamic community because of what they're trying to do. And like PLO Lumumba was saying, right, the great scholar and revolutionist from Kenya, like he was saying, Christianity is on the decline and Islam is on the increase. So he asked the question, it is funny, is Donald Trump trying to become the latter-day savior for Christians, for Christianity? And I think that question needs to be taken serious. And I think also when we look at, I know, right? We look
Lord Jesus, imagine.
We
Go
look
ahead.
at
No
the
pun
way.
intended.
Oh, right.
We look at the way he invaded Venezuela. All of these are power moves and a big flex by the United. Trump is trying to become bigger than the United States, right? And he got some people behind him because they see he has the ability to pull off things that a lot of other people can't pull off, like getting 34 felonies and becoming the president of the United States. You got to be a bad man to do that. And I think that a lot of times we have underestimated Trump by calling him all kinds of names because of emotions. But if you really look at him, he's not dumb or slow at all, right? What he's doing isn't right. But what he's doing to pad his pockets and the other oligarchs, the other billionaires here in the United States by invading certain countries, right? Think about him setting up a meeting with all the oil industries in the United States, and then I took control of who has the biggest oil refinery in the world, Venezuela. He have a meeting with them. He can just ask for 2% off of each one of them, and that's going to be trillions of dollars. So we really need to take a look at what's really going on, right? Not only in Venezuela and not only in Africa, but globally, because it's some power moves that's being made globally by the United States.
I 100% agree with you. I mean, to me, when he told us that he was going to be a dictator on day one, I think people just often, and
That's good.
we ignored him. Now, in order for you to be a dictator, you have to be able to shout at somebody. And what I believe is he strategically learned how to pander to whomever he needs to for whatever he needs. So if he need to be a Christian today,
Right.
that's why this is not an argument about Christianity or Muslim.
Right.
Because he will turn into whatever Satan tells him to turn into in order for him to get what needed his goal and objective. The only problem is when you have vulnerable populations such as Nigerians who are fighting this war at the bottom, and then you have a superpower. I mean, that's what Satan does. He comes in and he presents himself as a angel of light, they say, and he has you trade off. Now, either you learn from that lesson or you'll learn it again. But again, when I said where's the other African nations to come in and help, the answer was given to us at the end, is that they don't want their help because they've aligned themselves with France. They don't want their brethren's help because they've aligned themselves with the West already. So we have to take that as what it is. That's a reality. As much as we want Africa to unite, we still got to come against colonialism.
That's right.
And this is a major influence that have captured and kidnapped the minds of our leaders in Africa. It is the same.
Our leaders and our people.
You talk about Patrice Lumumba. Every last one of these people were assassinated because our other brothers backed up and allowed colonials to murder them. Mm-hmm. So, of course, we still got that kind of conflict in Africa when we are allowing or asking for the assassination of our own brothers just to save ourselves.
That's right.
This is an international war. This is not about Nigeria. This is colonialism at its finest.
Yeah.
And if we do not, I feel God up in here. I'm going to say this. If we do not cry out against colonialism as a whole, they will be able to invade us no matter what religion. They can be atheists.
Yep.
Now we on point. That's right, Dr. King.
They can be atheists, and if they feel like killing everybody. And we know this is their MO.
Right.
We know they are opportunists.
Right.
And so they did it to the people here where they gave them religion one day, and in the same breath they took scores of land and placed them on reservations.
Right.
This is nothing new.
Right. That's right.
And they gave certain Native Americans guns to war against other tribes.
That's what they're doing in Africa.
Listen, it is the same playbook.
Right.
It is.
That's right.
And now we look up and you can't distinguish one Indian from the other because they all on the reservation together. They may be separate clusters, but whatever happened to one happened to them all. They are no better than the other one right now. They are just like the gangs. When they capture our gang members, they all in the same prison together. And they may not be together, but they all there together. When the white man round them up, your gang don't matter because y'all all under the big gang.
That's right. That's exactly right, Dr.
Am I right when I say y'all tell me?
You on point.
Okay.
Because that's exactly what's taking place. It's just it's like colonialism all over again, right?
That's right.
And not only in Africa, but like also Venezuela. Okay, brother.
Nah, y'all was flowing. It was beautiful, and I think the points that's being made, it's starting to come. And Dr. Kim was right with us from the first word that came out of her mouth this morning. I knew she was right there. So I think what we're saying is that we got to unite, to strengthen up to strengthen our people up.
That's so true.
Brother Saul made a valid point earlier. Also, we're just weak.
Yes.
Ain't no way around. Ain't no other words to use for it.
And he didn't apologize for
No,
that.
I'm not going to apologize for it because I'm a black man too.
That's right.
So when I'm talking about we, I'm talking about me as well.
That's
because
right.
I understand I am because we are, therefore I am.
That's
Let's deal with the reality of the situation. I know we got brilliant brothers and sisters all over the world, and we've been talking about being an African revolutionary warrior. We got revolutionary warriors as well.
Right.
However, we don't have enough of them. We don't have them in the right positions of leadership, right? Where we can make decisions for ourselves. What's the first principle? Control your thoughts, right? So when we're letting the Europeans and the Arabs control our thoughts, we're not in control of our thoughts. And the second one is control our actions. So if you see that our actions have not benefited us because we have not controlled our thoughts. When you let other people control your thoughts in your mind, they're going to control your actions. And that's what's taking place. That's why Tinubu, even though he's a Muslim, he's still a part of the Western's plan plot, right? To be able to dominate their own people. He's in bed with the Europeans.
With the enemies.
Right, he's in bed with the
And
enemies.
listen, he is just as African as anybody else.
Right.
But right now, he is a foreign agent in his own country.
He definitely a foreign agent. I don't think he do not know that. He willingly.
Right, that's
he,
right.
He
bro.
willingly go through it, and that's not the only country there that's affected by the same disease.
But that's why Boko Haram is so mad because they know that the government is in cahoots with the Western powers. Think about that.
So the good thing about the Boko Haram, I don't know how strong they are right now, but you have people such as Ibrahim Traore and to if you didn't know, they sent a coup in. They tried to throw a coup in on him a week or so ago. Also
Who is this?
doing Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso, right? But soon I don't know the strength of the Boko Haram, but I do know that they're gonna sooner or later keep on strengthening up, and they're gonna try to.
And that's why we have to
move
throw
in
our
also.
weight behind those who are
We got to.
dispelling colonialism,
we got
and we have to start it here because somewhere in our mind we still think that we
That's right.
are not colonialized or we are not occupied in the same like manner. Now, ours is not as severe, and we have quite a few laws that sort of keep them at bay. But again, like he said, Mr. Max said, well, you all have these laws that sort of keep you guys at bay.
See.
But at the end of the day, we're looking at a man who don't even obey no laws.
Right.
And he is giving more immunity to more tragedies, not just for black people, but for anybody. We watched last week ICE kill a white woman, shoot her point blank in her car.
Yeah.
After trying to pull her out of the car. So at this point, we see this president so wicked that he's willing to cut off food to his own citizens, 42 million, with SNAP benefits. So colonialism don't even care about his own. It's who can reign power. And at this point, we better understand what we're dealing with, because guess what? His initiative is to have global power.
Right. That's right.
Right. And Brother Ausar been saying that all morning.
Yeah.
He said, we got this
He's trying to get world power.
yeah.
Well, they already got world power.
No,
but
they do.
I think this is interesting,
was
right?
saying.
When you look at that, northern Nigeria is inhabited by mostly Muslims, and the southern is Christian. When you look in the Sudan,
Right.
the northerners are what? The Muslims, and the southerners are the Christians, right?
Yeah.
So you have, and they be trying to get it all up under one. They talk about religious freedom in the Constitution, but there really is no religious freedom, right? You adhere to, when you look at the northern region of Africa, all of those are Islamic states, basically, right? So you have to understand a lot of these countries, which are right there, are getting their backing from a lot of the Islamic states, right? So this is an interesting phenomenon that's taking place in Africa, and this is also one of the tools that is used to keep Pan-Africanism at bay.
Yes.
Is religion. Even though Pan-Africanism isn't based off of religion, most people are going to follow their religion, and it's been proven before they even stand up for their own people, right? And I'm talking about us as African people. We'll choose religion before we choose being African or being black, and we're killed just because of the way one thinks, and that's not right, because we all get our light and energy from the same sun, and we all breathe the same air. So any disagreement we have should not come down to where we have to murder each other. We should be able to respect each other and live in peace, because this planet is big enough for everybody to get what they need to be able to survive.
That's right.
And our values and principles basically exemplify that. And if we would take the time to really look at what our ancestors left for us, that would bring us closer together and unite us, right? Mm-hmm. And I had to keep going back to what Kwame Nkrumah said. Africa must unite. We didn't hear him in 1963, and it's 2026, and we still don't hear Kwame Nkrumah. And we need to listen, and we need to really take heed, and we need to put our egos to the side, because that's what takes place a lot of times with religious fanatics and religious psychosis. We need to get them thoughts out of our mind and understand the bigger picture, and that's Africans. But see, when you understand Christianity and when you understand Islam, those are the two most murderous religious organizations that has walked on this planet Earth. And if you do a deep study, you'll understand it's all about political power. Right? So what we do when we play into their hands by accepting the foreign ideologies and religious systems, it don't do nothing but destroy us internally. And that's what's happening in Africa, not just in Nigeria, not just in Sudan, but all over Africa. But at the AES, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, we need to turn our eyes back to them. Right, because they did the same thing that Boko Haram is trying to do, and that is outlaw Western philosophy. Because remember, they went back to what? They threw all the French curriculum out because they realized it wasn't good for Africa. And that's basically what a lot of the Muslims are saying. I'm not agreeing with the Muslims, right? Because we have a bone to pick with them just like we do the Christians because of past experiences and even what's going on today. Because when they're slaughtering, as they consider, they're slaughtering both Christians and Muslims, I look at it differently. You're killing your own brothers and sisters. You're killing Africans.
Well, and again, let us also make sure we're defining religion correctly. Because religion is not just somebody that worships some foreign god. Religion can be what you believe in, period. So what happens when your Christians believe that America is a religion? See? And Jesus go out the back door and the Muslims go out the back door. Because now you have quote-unquote Christian nationalists that will hang you. Them Christian nationalists said, hang Mike Pence. There was Christians on their own lawn talking about hang Mike Pence on January the 6th. That tells you that even those forms of religion don't even stand against what people believe. And we're talking about a belief system. So we want to make sure that we classify anybody that is anti-human, anybody who cannot cohabitate equally so, because our diversities are always going to be there.
Right.
How do we deal with each other? It doesn't mean that if you are anything or believe other than me, that you should be dead. That is just so small-minded. It shows the barbaric. It doesn't show that you're religious. It shows that you're more barbaric.
Right.
And so we have to understand that we're not just talking about religion as it relates to spirituality or worshiping a God. It's anything that
Right.
we've
That's right.
considered to be more powerful than our basic humanities.
That's exactly right.
And we have to get back to those things. Again, if we can help Africa recognize the power, and again, if Ibrahim and the other governments have decided not to help with the French president, I can understand why. Because you're already running up against somebody who sold their souls to the enemy. And I would not send my people in there to try to save you, and you don't even respect our lives next door.
Right. And
I believe Ibrahim Tari and the others are well aware of their position on that battle line,
yes.
Oh, yeah,
on
they
that
got
borderline. Listen,
they got their eyes open.
they got their eyes, and I don't blame them.
If I'm not mistaken, I think a month or so ago I've seen that it was also eight more countries or so that was trying to
Join the AES.
yeah.
I think Chad. I remember seeing Chad.
Let's
as
go.
one.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. And I think that could be
Yeah.
another reason why, the U.S. is trying to go in there and flex
Definitely.
their muscles.
Because the power, they see
Right.
the power growing
Indeed.
and all.
Absolutely. But that's what he said about Greenland. He also said the reason why he's invading Greenland is because the constant threat that Russia or China or anybody else would take Greenland, which is a very strategic place with resources. And so I might as well get in now before they take it over. So these are war strategies. If we have to blame it on drugs with Venezuela, we'll do that. If we have to blame it on religion, we'll do that. But we coming in. This is not about religion. This is about stopping a dictator who don't care if he kill his own people,
That's right.
and in uniting humanity across the globe.
Well, they changed the name from the Department of Defense to
Yes.
the Department of War.
Yes, he did.
I think that's it, but that's what it was originally,
Right, that's-
back in the late 1700s
Yeah.
and stuff like. And that's
a good
important,
point.
Department of War, right? Because basically they always talking about how they gonna strike quick, fast, and shock and all of these things to try to make the American people think that they some type of superhero. You know what I mean? When they're not. So I just think that.
And does that not go against? Now, defense says that I am not willingly pursuing you.
Right.
I'm only defending myself.
Right.
The Department of War says I am pursuing you.
That's right.
So guess
That's
what?
right.
I will come kick your butt.
Right.
different.
That's the
Yeah.
difference. So where are your Christians at with that definition? Where is your Christian nationalist on that note in America?
Now he did this in September, and
Yes,
then what?
he did.
In December, they bombed what? Nigeria. And in
And then
Venezuela.
Venezuela.
January,
in
they went in
January.
Venezuela and kidnapped. I like to say captured and kidnapped
Listen.
the president and his wife.
But-
So they are at war, and we are at war.
That's right. And here's the thing. We always have been at war.
That's right.
It's just they've used terms to throw us off. We've always been at war. And I've always taught that even in our presentations that we are at war.
That's right.
But guess what? We allow them to hoodwink us with words or spells that
That's right.
dismantle our thinking. So you cannot, and if you're not thinking with a clear conscience, you'll go to sleep. Okay.
Dr. Kim. Yeah, I do. We do got to wrap up real quick, but
Can we do a part 2 next week?
I just about to say we just led right into another topic for sure, and because we really got to let our people know the type of war that we are in. I don't think half of us. Well, let me say, I don't think 87% of us know that we're at war.
95.
That's a great
95%.
I think we are so gullible because we will have an outrage.
Well,
And we haven't had one because we don't know. We think we are at coast because we're letting Big Daddy take care of everything. Now understanding that we ourselves are in our own war. Go ahead.
Now, it's sad because I was educated in the North Carolina public school system. So she was just speaking about Greenland. I'm like, you talking about that big green, that big thing that's at the top of the globe that they,
Right.
used to spin right past us all the time. What's going on out there? But that's something we got to dig into also.
We'll get into that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Get into that.
absolutely.
And NATO, because
Come on, the
NATO
UN.
was involved in this because
Right.
the United States is trying to overpower not only NATO but the United Nations, not giving no respect to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really have no respect for them either because there's a bunch of European countries coming together to dominate the rest of the world.
Yes.
But the United States is trying to dominate them as well.
Oh, they are okay with breaking away from any, and that's the issue, is that they're saying any kind of ties or commitments that we made to NATO, us bumming Greenland cuts that off. So at this point, they gone rogue.
Yeah, I definitely got to get a listening audience out there, y'all know. It's a can't lose. I mean, you're gonna be educated well when you tune in at all times. Remember, proper education always corrects error. So peace.
Peace.
Peace. Woo.